you go, a quick overview of my T1 just before I show you the video of the INAV VTOL testing. So I've changed the motor pods for some 3D printed ones here, which are done in PA12 nylon, and I've changed the motors for 1700 kV F2004T motors, obviously with 5-inch props. Video, of course, I'm using walk snail, that just sits in there, so it keeps nice and cool. And I've got a UFL to SMA adapter, so I can just run, I can change the antennas, so I've got this little stubby singularity for now, and then I can put a taller antenna for longer range on there. And I've got these USB ports for convenience, that one's for the FC, and this one is for the VTX. Inside here, actually, this is my screw fitment, just to hold the hatch down rather than the clip. Just keeps everything nice and solid. And if you look inside, I've got this tray for the battery, it just sits in there, and the lid holds the battery in place. And I've got this crossbar which goes across here, which is just glued in place and sits over the peg for the screw, and that stops things from squeezing in like that, so it makes it nice and rigid at the point where the wings sort of clip in, so any flex in the wings is taken up by that piece. And then the wing spars here, and the peg just sits around that. Inside I'm using the F405 VTOL by Maytec. It's very messy, but it works. I couldn't be bothered tidying up the wires on this one. It's the workhorse. I've got the Happy Model diversity receiver. This is ELRS 2.4. So just started using that, and so far it's working really well. Inside the boom here, I've got the wires sort of run all the way along here to the compass and GPS, which just sits underneath that bit of foam there, and then all the wires run through this boom, including the motor wire as well. So it's nice and neat, nothing to get snagged or catch. So this is the T20 jumper radio I'm using. Nice and compact, but good gimbals. And of course the walk snail goggles, which I've modified. So these are 13 dB batches, and I think these are 13.5. And with this one I've changed to antenna 1, which is the TX port. So obviously you want that on a forward-facing patch. And I've just got the battery on the strap here, which just goes straight in. One thing I have done as well is Madtec's anti-fogging mod. So inside the goggles there's a sort of a plate which redirects the airflow. I can't really show you down here because it's a bit too dark, but basically it directs more flow through this section towards the lenses. It's a bit of a process to do. You've got to sort of take this foam pad off. There are some screws, and then the face bit comes off, and then you can access all the gubbins inside. But yeah, it worked. So this morning went out, no fogging. Anyway, here's the video. So here we go, taking off in angle mode, in obviously a quad hover, and then when we get up to altitude, I think it's probably about 15-20 meters altitude, I transition, so this is where the motors are tilted forward by 45 degrees, and then we're now in full forward flight. You notice there was a little bit of a wobble there at the transition point, but this is a completely untuned bids. I've not done anything with the bids to tune them. And so I need to do a little bit of work on that just to smooth out everything there, but it all worked remarkably well. And I'll just flick into loiter here, simply so I can put the FPV goggles on. And at the same time I realised that I'd forgotten to load the custom fonts for walk snail, so I'm faffing around trying to install the custom fonts from the user font folder. Which you can't see in the video here because I've used the overlay tool in post-production, but so that's why I stick and loiter for a bit just as I'm getting the fonts sorted, and then we go back into acro around about now and fly around as normal. So it flies perfectly well in fixed wing mode, as well as it should do. There's no hassle or drama there, nothing concerning in the behaviour. It's it responds exactly as it should. I just do a little bit of a lower pass here, so I'm actually flying this sitting in the back of my car, and which I'll do a low pass soon and you'll be able to see that. So just follow this car up through here, and then we'll swing around and just have a bit of fun watching out for those power lines there, which you can just about make out. So yeah, here we are. You'll see me sitting with my feet dangling on the back of the car in a sec. So there we go, we're off, and going through, nice little snappy roll. No problems with the servo response on this plane. And for now, I'll just do a little bit of flying around. As you can see, there's a fairly nasty rainstorm coming in, and I was doing this flight just not long before I had to start for work, so I wasn't in the air for too long, but I wanted to get the testing done. Here I've just flicked into a hover, so that was a really nice seamless transition back into hover, and then just panning around again just to test the transition from fixed wing to hover and then back again. So I'll now flick over to the transition mode, so the motors are tilted forward, and now we're full fixed wing flight again. So we're just going to do a bit of a roll and a dive soon. I think they call this an Immelman manoeuvre. And so we'll build up a little bit of airspeed, and then we'll see what happens if we go straight from this to a transition at about 90 kilometers an hour. And the nose comes right up, and you can see we've pretty much come to a stop in a hover in about 3 seconds. So I'm going to term this the Crunkle Floop air brake. And so yeah, stopped very, very quickly. So that might be a nice little thing as a get out of get out of a tricky situation option if you find yourself heading towards a building or anything like that. You could just literally hit the air brakes and off you go. So I thought that was a bit of fun. But then I come through now. So I've gone into angle mode for the final transition. So I'm just going to come around. And then lose a bit of altitude, and then swing around, trying to avoid the cows and the sheep, because that sort of upsets the farmer a little bit. And so we're just coming in here, and for this transition, to make a nice smooth transition, you want to sort of get the airspeed down, as low as it's reasonable, really. And then so you'll see on the VTOL switch now we've gone into a hover. So we're now in quad mode, so we're still moving forward, but this is as a quad. And I'm just sort of bringing it in closer to the car, and we'll just go for a standard, say quad. I shouldn't really call it a quad. Tricopter hover. And this is just obviously coming in, losing a bit of speed, a bit of altitude, and we just pop it down here. So more to come. Really enjoying this so far though, and for a first sort of entry into VTOL, really impressed.